On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. This is a fantastic time right now, and I love how things are starting to play out. We zigged when they thought we'd zag. And this is one of the things that's really powerful. So I've got a couple stories I'm going to share, but the very first one, I'm not going to bury the lead, but really is the place where there's been an amount of time where they keep talking about how the numbers are rising for the coronavirus, how there's more and more people that are getting it. We're testing more and more. That's been the constant response from the White House. We're testing more. They're giving more results. And the press is like, blah, 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 blah. Like somehow that's bad. And that somehow proves that things are getting worse. There's something very powerful that's happening, like literally, like maybe this week, that is going to actually affect that in a very huge way. And this is bad for the deep state. And Trump, I think, has been doing this kind of quietly. I think this is one of those places where he should get some credit for 5D chess, frankly, because I think Trump likes to talk about stuff that is happening, but he's also very savvy when it comes to knowing what not to say. I've also got some things that are a bit of a concern for the deep state that we're going to share with you. Some information that sort of kind of helps, I think, paint the picture or prove or show that this isn't just here in the United States, but that this is actually a little larger than that, and that there are other countries that are doing things. You know, not just England with Brexit, but we've got some other interesting news around that. And on top of that, we've got some proof of how this bias exists against anyone that's questioning truth, anyone that's calling out some of these very interesting stories that exist out there. There's proof that there's a true bias behind how they fact check. So we're going to cover that as well. That's going to be the last little story that we do. Now, to start it off, what's very interesting, again, the CDC. CDC may officially downgrade COVID from an epidemic due to remarkably low death rate. May. This is not happening for sure yet, and the CDC will announce it when it does. But one of the wonderful things that's happened as a result of testing huge numbers of people, and well into the millions now, is when you test additional people, more and more and more people, and that death rate doesn't exactly climb at the same level, you start to run into a little bit of a problem. To officially call something an epidemic requires a rather large death rate, a percentage, if you will, of the total number of people infected. So when the total number of people infected rises quickly for that matter, yet the total number of deaths does not, you start to run into a problem. Now, some might say, "Ooh, wait up, Dan, maybe that's going to happen." Well, the problem is, and this kind of shows some of the great work that we've all done, all of us, every single one of us, you especially, and hopefully me. But one of the things that's definitely happened is because of attention, we got those 5 states, California, Michigan, Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, that had extenuating circumstances causing more deaths because they kept shoving COVID-positive patients in with a very high-risk population into long-term care facilities and nursing homes. So those 5 states got called out. Those 5 governors, major hand slap and possibly worse coming. We'll see. But because of that, they can't do that anymore. So they don't have that mechanism to jack those numbers, those death numbers, like they need to. And I don't mean it to sound bad. Anyone that's passed away from this, it's sad. It's very not cool. Anyone that passes away from the yearly flu, anyone that passes away from bronchitis-related injuries, anyone that passes away from heart-related things, anyone that passes away from cancer every year, anyone that passes away for anything is sad. So anyone that dies is not cool. Anyone that dies is not cool, ever, no matter what the situation is. So, again, interesting how this is playing out. And they keep talking about on all these pressers about how those numbers are growing so quickly. The numbers of people, I hear people I talk with, the numbers in Texas, so many people are getting sick, the virus, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh. And again, it's my professional job, so you got to play the game correctly. You can't just run out and say, oh, you guys are idiots. Because professionally, that'll bite you in the butt. And I certainly don't tell anybody that I work with the channel I'm doing. So they don't need to know any of these worlds. But again, people are freaked out about how many people are getting the testing positive. Again, it's a positive, folks. This is a good thing. The fact that there's more and more people testing positive means there's fewer and fewer percentage-wise that are dying from it. And the fact that so many of the people that are being tested are younger and people that are concerned they have it. So there's, again, it's one of those things where if all these people are getting tested, why are they showing up positive? Well, they're probably people that are wondering if they have it. Duh. Showing some sort of symptoms. And even of those people showing some symptoms, not all of them test positive. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I don't know what it is. A large number of people, I could probably open up something. Let's see. I got something here. Yeah, this will be close. This is off the covidtracking.com, right? So it's showing the daily numbers, July 14th oh, cool. So today they've updated. So as of now, we've got total number of here's total tests. There he is. 41 million total tests. Now, their death number is a little lower than the one that the CDC has been putting out, but they're showing 128,000 right now. I think CDC is probably up over 130 for sure, but not hugely so. So they're close. They're relative. Current hospitalizations at 55,000, but what you're noticing here is of the positive tests, the 3 million positive people that have tested, oh no! There's 38 million that tested negative. Yeah. So again, there's this wide spread of people testing positive. Yeah, there's also this wide spread of people testing negative. It's the same thing. It's just, how do you choose to look at it? Well, if I'm trying to scare people, I might try to tell you something a little different. I might try to say it's scarier looking because so many people are getting it. Again, I think this is something they're using to play against them, because the second this is no longer an epidemic, it becomes very hard to keep society closed. It keeps very hard to do a lot of the things that they're trying to do. And if this happens before they try to go, well, we want to vote by mail, they'll be like, look, it's not even an epidemic. This is just a bad flu. Get over it. Move on. It's not the end of the world. Now, talking about not the end of the world and people making a big darn deal about something that's not a big darn deal. Trump paid a visit to a hospital, and it's the military hospital, Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in suburban Washington. So he didn't even go far for that matter. Took a helicopter, I think. But went to pay attention to some wounded service members and some healthcare providers just caring for these COVID-19 patients. Just kind of being cool. So he's going into a COVID hotspot. Trump's going into a place with COVID patients, and yeah, he put on a mask. Now, I'll bet you money this mask has been custom fit to his face. I'll bet you money this mask is actually better than an N95. But that all being said, yeah, he's wearing a mask. And he's doing it out of respect for these people. This guy's tested probably multiple times every day. Anyone that talks to him's tested. I mean, again, this individual knows he's okay. Took COVID for the hydroxy stuff for a while, and that turned out okay for him. He used it for like a couple weeks and then stopped taking it. So again, a lot is going on around this, but the press is like, oh, he's finally, all right, mainstream media needs you to know Trump wears a mask, so should you. And that's not what Trump's message is. Trump's message is wear a mask when it's appropriate. Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, it doesn't do a lot of good. And really, masks seem, per a lot of the research that's out there, because virus size and the number of micrometers of how big that is and how filtrating these different masks are, there's been some studies that suggest that a lot of things are passing through these masks, and maybe we're not quite as good off as we thought. So, again, yes, Trump's wearing them. Do I see this as some sort of negative? No. I have to wear one when I go to the grocery store, otherwise they get mad at me badly. And it's just not worth the fight, man. So put a mask on. It's no big deal, whatever. I don't wear it anywhere else. The second I walk out of the store, I rip the thing off my face, but whatever. So one thing that's kind of scary to a lot of the deep state people, and I think this is kind of funny. I'm just thinking people like Adam Schiff, certainly people like Hillary Clinton, potentially, but that's a big catch. That's a big, you need a lot of ducks in a row to make that one happen. But I think like Adam Schiff, I think certainly Nadler, some of these people, Pelosi, some of these people that are intentionally sowing seeds of hate. Certainly a lot of the city councils in a number of different places. Seattle, there's some city council person that was quoted saying something horrible about white people, whatever. Right? It is what it is right now. It is what it is right now. But the Supreme Court approves first federal execution in 17 years. It means the federal government can now execute people for federal crimes. Now, just throwing out one crazy kind of federal crime that just popped into my head right now. But like treason. And it's just because it's a cool word. But treason, oddly, is punishable by death, oftentimes. And treason is that thing where you're literally trying to do things to hurt the United States. Gosh, I swear that seems really similar to some of the stuff that some of these politicians have done, like a couple of the ones I just mentioned, maybe some other ones that haven't been mentioned, maybe like most of the House of the House, as far as California is concerned, my state, that so many of these people are nuts. Nuts. There might be a couple Republicans, I don't know, I say throw them out too, and we'll see who gets revoted back in. But man, throw them all out. Start over. Let's fresh votes. Some of these people are just ridiculous. So again, they're freaking out. Treason's an oddly dangerous little course to be walking down. And some of these people have truly chosen sedition, or truly chosen not to represent the oath that they took when they swore in to say that they would defend the Constitution against foreign and domestic people. I mean, maybe they thought someone else's Constitution. Maybe they thought China's Constitution. That's certainly possible. You know, China is everyone's best friend right now. Or are they? Oh, hang on. Is it true that Australia is beginning an unprecedented, I love when they throw unprecedented pushback against Beijing? Australian government is boldly pushing back against the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, which is also the virus is called the CCP virus. It's interesting. It's a newborn strategic position held by a government facing an increasingly hostile and antagonistic Beijing. What? Beijing's actually being hostile and antagonistic? No, say it isn't so. They're such a bunch of bang-up people. I mean, they don't necessarily kill each other or kill prisoners and sell their organs or, some of these things that are pretty atrocious are just shooting a bunch of people in Tiananmen Square. I mean, just to name a few of my favorite things. Jacked up country. Again, becoming a very scary superpower and certainly seems to be holding the puppet strings to a lot of our politicians. Again, going back to the executions because you were letting another government do things inside. Oh, boy, no wonder they don't want Flynn getting off. No wonder they don't like all of these people that are happening. Yeah, that starts to really mess with their whole world. Now, it's kind of funny. We all know that fact checkers are of the highest moral character, are obviously concerned about trying to make sure they're completely fair with everyone. I am trying to be as obviously sarcastic as possible. They're under this impression that the fact checkers check facts. They're making sure that everything that is said is correct according to the facts. Well, it's interesting is, according to the facts, Wayfair isn't actually, fact check, no evidence Wayfair is selling human trafficking children to their website with very expensive cabinets. Now, to be somewhat fair, their statement's true. There's no evidence that Wayfair is doing this. There's not. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence. Good on you. You're right. But when this pops up with a hoax alert attached to it, as it says right here in red, well, now that's a different thing altogether. Now you're claiming to understand information about something that the FBI hasn't even investigated yet. No one's investigated this yet, but you know the facts, fact checker. Oh, I didn't realize that you were so, in the know of everything going on. Now, one of two problems. One of two problems I can see. Either A, you're lying and you don't know, and you're just a bunch of BS with your little fact checking stuff. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. Or B, or two, depends how you want to look at it. Or B, you actually know for fact that Wayfair is or isn't doing this because you're involved in it directly. And so thusly you know who or who isn't guilty. So again, very interesting how the fact-checking works. Now, for a lot of people that have been awake for a little while, fact-checkers is a ridiculous idea just from the get-go. Obviously, there's no way these fact-checkers are going to tell the truth. These are very partisan-leaning, fact-checked stuff. Everyone's got this opinion, leads right to it. So again, it's one of those things where you've got to be really careful where these blue checks, green checks, whatever the hell color checks you're going to get. Make sure you're paying attention to what's going on. Make sure you're asking questions. Make sure you're asking critical questions. A lot of things are happening behind the scenes that mainstream media is blowing different directions, blowing proportion in different directions. There are things happening over here that affect their future plans. Everybody knows what their plans are. Got to take down the elections. It's all about the elections. So we're going to try to make mail-in voting, because right now that's about the only way they can guarantee that they can try to get Trump out of office. And the other side of it is the violence with the protests, and to co-opt those and try to freak people out and try to instill more fear, take away more rights, try to create... we've got New York Mayor retarded Blasio telling people that it's the guns from other areas. Even though there's a bunch of democratically owned areas in the direct, they're going out further. We've got to make guns illegal everywhere in the whole planet. Otherwise, they might fly to some other country where they can buy guns. Like, it's ridiculous what they're trying to do. And they are losing steam. All they've got is this loud mouthpiece. They've got the biggest megaphone on the block, for sure. And they're using it. But most of us are just like, la, 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 I'm tired of hearing your stupid megaphone. Whatever. And we're not paying attention. We're asking a lot of questions. That's how you change. That's how you make a difference. That's how you help bring facts to those people out there that are still like, no, but it fact check, it's sad. It's just the Wayfair is not true. That's not true. And you're like, really? Let's ask a quick question. Has the FBI investigated it yet? Well, no. So how could their facts line up so correctly? Oh, yeah. Smarty pants. That's how the game's played. We've got to make sure we're on the upper edge of that. We've got to make sure we're looking a few moves ahead and kind of trying to filter in what's happening now relative to what's going to happen in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. You've got to keep that in mind, because a lot of this stuff makes a lot of sense when you look at it from that filter. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channels, like my videos. That makes a huge difference. Sharing makes a huge difference. All those things are awesome. If you really want to donate, and that's wonderful when you do, there's a little PayPal link below. That's an awesome way to do that. Thank you very much. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.